trouble comes around to you.
Sports Fans Live. It is the NFL Hour, folks, and that means we are now joined in internet land by Jim Saranteas, the Fantasy Greek himself from thefantasygreek.com. Jim, welcome back to the program yet again.
Guys, how the heck are you? I'm just sitting back here just mystified by the way the Patriots are getting throttled by the Chiefs. Unbelievable.
Yeah. We were talking in an earlier segment that have we seen the best? Have we seen the last of Tom Brady?
Oh, absolutely not. There's no way. I mean, I know we were talking about this during the break. My lunch is his offensive line is not as good, and quite frankly, he doesn't seem to be on the same page as wide receivers. Now, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Was Tom Brady the one that makes all these receivers good, or are they the ones that make him good? And it's probably a combination of the two. What mystifies me was something I couldn't mention in the break is I know they're missing Aaron Hernandez and they're sort of missing that second tight end, but you could just have a wide receiver play exactly the Aaron Hernandez role in this offense, and I don't believe that they are doing that. And if they are, it's just not succeeding.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah,
that's all I got to say about all that.
It's sad. It is because I disagree with you, Jim. I think this is it. I mean, this is the end. He's very, like I said, he's very quickly approaching Joe Montana on the Chiefs status, where he's got the name and the ability and just not a whole lot of results. So,
okay,
I agree.
That's my in-depth analysis there that we have seen.
Great analysis.
We have seen the last of Tom Brady playing at a high level.
Wow.
And that's where I'm at.
Okay.
So, assuming that the Chiefs are indeed not coming back in this game, we can now tally up the results of our picks competition. And this was a rough week for everybody involved.
No.
However, once again, I win the day. 7-6 for me. I never thought I'd be thrilled about 7-6, but Steve-O was second, 6-7, and Jim 5-8.
Oh,
oof!
The only 5 games you got right were the Colts, the Lions, the Ravens, the Texans, and the Chargers.
Wow,
that's rough.
That is rough.
Yeah, we all were wrong on the Bears, which we'll get into in a minute. We were all wrong about the Redskins. We were all wrong about the Steelers, which Steve will get into in a minute. We were all wrong about the Eagles. We were all wrong about the Falcons, which Jim will get into in a minute. And we were all, well, Steve was the only one that picked the Cowboys. And Jim, you were the only one that had faith in the Patriots. So I can see why you're sticking up for Brady so bad.
I look, the reality is this. When you look at the Patriots player for player, they've got a good team. You look at the Chiefs, and you can clearly see some holes in that. And on top of it, you have a more than erratic Alex Smith. Now, the fact that they can come through from time to time and have a very dominant game, that doesn't say much to me. Can they do it consistently? That's a different story. Next week, I'm not so sure we're going to see that. But the Patriots, on the other hand, it is disconcerting to see them playing so far below our expectations of what this team should be like. In fact, it's so below what we're expecting. I mean, I can't see them beating the Bengals next week, even at home.
Yeah, we could talk about that in a little bit when we make our picks, but the Bengals are no joke, and unfortunately, the Patriots are. Ha! How do you like
You
that?
do.
At least in this part of the season.
Oh, I am.
It's only week 4.
I know. I'm piling on right now, though.
Clearly you are, because last year they were, I don't know that they were in this exact position, but they were not in a very good place, and yet they went on to win the to be in the AFC Championship, so we'll see.
So, Steve, you were not here last week, so you didn't get a chance to defend your Dallas pick because you were the only one that picked Dallas to beat the Saints. What gave you your insight?
Well, I mean, the week prior, Dallas started to show improvement because they pulled their head out of their caboose and started running DeMarco Murray 20-plus times, which every analyst who watches football has said when the Cowboys get their running game going and they get behind DeMarco Murray, they have success. And it takes pressure off of Tony Romo, and he looked horrible in the beginning of the season, but it just looked like he was stiff. It didn't look like he was 100% yet. Each week that's gone by, he's looked better and better. I mean, he still is Tony Romo. He's still going to make those awful throws in the game to the other team, but he started to show improvement. It looked like his mobility was coming back. And I just, you look at what New Orleans has done. They actually look terrible offensively this year, as well as defensive. Defensively, they look lost. They have a ton of talent, but they just look lost. And offensively, there's something missing. It doesn't. You have all the pieces there. You have all the components that have been there for years now, but they're just not clicking. There's something about them, and it's kind of concerning to me because I picked them to do well. I didn't pick them to go to the Super Bowl like a lot of people were thinking they have a chance to, but I picked them to do well still. So I don't know what's going on with New Orleans. But you put Dallas at home against a struggling team who doesn't play good on the road like New Orleans does. And there you go.
I thought that New Orleans would be all right on the road because even though it's not a dome, it's still an indoor stadium, really, theoretically. And I thought they would be fine. But are we at the point where New Orleans is strictly a home team, not necessarily a dome team, but a home team?
No. I mean, I still think they have. There's one thing missing. I don't know what it is, but there's something missing that as soon as it clicks, the talent level on that team is going to propel them into the postseason. I still have that belief and that faith because it is early in the year. But there's just something that's not working. And I think once they figure that out, they're going to be a dangerous team. But as of right now, I mean, yesterday was a joke. That was a complete blowout to where they only made the game look somewhat decent with some garbage time points. So, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I really don't.
I think what would help New Orleans tremendously, and it's helped them in the games that they won, is establishing a running game. Mm-hmm. And it's not that they didn't establish a running game. When they ran the ball, they ran well. They just didn't run it enough. And they too quickly gave up on the rush, which many teams too quickly are giving up on the rush, either because they perceive a lack of talent at that position or, they're into this. And I think they're sort of blind. They're not seeing the bigger picture. All they see is we're now built to pass the football. So you don't have good blocking for running backs. But you have better pass protection.
Mm.
And what would help is having a running game to beat down your opponent's defense, to tire them out, to, as you like to say, Keith, punch them in the face. Because if you can't do that and your offense is 3 and out, I mean, your defense is getting wiped out. And yesterday, I got to say, for all of us who poo-hoo the Cowboys' defense, including myself, in the preseason and early weeks of this season, their defense is playing a lot better than I think anyone wants to give them credit for right now.
I'll give you that much.
They may not be the best defense out there, but they're playing much better than anybody would expect.
Hey, tip your cap to Rod Marinelli, their defensive coordinator.
Absolutely.
They came in with nothing on paper.
Absolutely. He can get a lot out of players.
All right, so
and like you said, Jim, pounding the ball, DeMarco Murray held the ball for 24 carries, which gave Dallas almost a full 10 more minutes holding the ball than New Orleans. And a team like New Orleans, that is one of the ways to beat them, is you keep the ball out of Drew Brees' hands.
Absolutely. Well, it's not just keeping it out, but when he has it, he's not successful.
Yeah.
And you need to run the football some more. I mean, Kerry Robinson, I forget how many carries he had. And I thought he had a decent amount of yards yesterday, but he could have had more, and they just gave up on it. And you just can't do that. You just cannot do that. But a lot of teams this offseason, I think they spent so much time working on their pass pro, so much working on passing plays. Everybody forgot about that little thing called the run.
Yeah.
A team like Dallas, who's handing it off to their workhorse running back 30 times, is now back in the picture. Name any team that's doing well right now, and one of the things that they're, at least if not successful, partly successful on, is their running game.
Mm.
Yep. And as the guy that started, Kyrie Robinson, you're right. He did not run enough.
Nice.
Just saying.
No,
All right,
what do you have?
I'm sorry. What were you saying, Jim?
Do you know what he did yesterday? I don't have it in front of me right now.
I think he finished with like 80-something yards rushing, but he had a big one at the end that kind of tacked it on.
That's good.
He had, hold on, I'm calling it up right now, 87 rushing yards and 18 receiving yards. So he got me 10.5 points in my league.
That's good.
But I needed 13. Just saying. So, let's talk about games that really stood out to us. And, Jim, I'll give you the visitor to the leadoff position here. You wanted to talk about the Atlanta Falcons and the Vikings, if I'm remembering correctly?
Actually, I wanted to talk about the...
I totally blew that.
Yeah, you did. That's okay.
Bad.
Yeah, I think I thought about it, but then I decided to go with the Lions and the Jets.
That's right. Detroit Lions and New York Jets, which is standing out in the media circles because of Geno Smith telling Jets fans to go F themselves, which is not really a way to endear yourself to anyone, much less people that live in New York and New Jersey. But go ahead, Jim. What stood out in this game to you?
The Lions won the game without Calvin Johnson. I mean, technically he was on the field, and technically I suppose people have described him as a decoy, even though their head coach actually said we really didn't intend him to be one. But that's besides the point. The reality is this team won without actually using him, and it was impressive. They also got Eric Ebron into the mix. I believe he was on 40 out of the 60 plays on the field for those snaps. In fantasy, that means guys run out and pick him up this week. I think that's a permanent thing. And they just had a win. They're 3-1 on top of the AFC, on the NFC North, and I think that's a great record to have right now in the first month of play in a division that now is looking like it's going to be up for grabs. At least we'll know more this coming Thursday. Their running game wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't the greatest because they were up against the Jets. And still it did enough to carry the day. And the one aspect of their game that has really come through this season, if it keeps coming through the rest of the season, they're going to be a tough team, is their defense.
Right.
The Jets, on the other hand, it's more of the same. And it's really, Geno Smith has not taken the next step, but this is his sophomore season. Technically, he should be taking a step backwards. To me, he seems more... It seems like he's still doing exactly what he was doing last year, which is he's trying to make a play when everything else breaks down. And sooner or later, you just got to stick with your gun, stay in the pocket, and make a pass. That's what I thought about this game.
No, I agree. And I think that the Jets and the fans that are calling for Mike Vick, just stop. Okay? Mike Vick, I think, is the most overrated quarterback in recent times, because what people remember, I don't think they really remember what Mike Vick playing quarterback was really like. He had one